Hi, I'm Sophie, and today's story, it's one of those that makes your jaw drop and your heart race. It's about betrayal, family entitlement, and how one woman took back control remotely. Let me introduce you to Lauren. Lauren is 34 years old and works as a VIP account manager at a major medical equipment firm. She's smart, disciplined, and incredibly good at what she does. After years of saving, budgeting, and giving up countless weekend lattes and vacations, Lauren finally did it. She bought her dream home. It wasn't easy. If you've ever gone house hunting, you know the drill. One house has a perfect kitchen but sits next to a busy road. Another's in a great neighborhood, but the floor plan makes no sense. Lauren toured over 24 homes across the metro area before finding the one, a beautiful 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath gem just outside the city. Granite countertops, solid hardwood floors, a sunlit kitchen that opened up to a patio perfect for sipping morning coffee. The price tag made her pause. It always does, but she'd saved enough for a solid down payment. Within weeks, the paperwork was signed and the keys were in her hand. To celebrate, Lauren threw a small housewarming party. Just close family and a few work friends. 12 people max. Lauren prefers intimate settings where people actually talk, not scream over thumping bass. Her younger sister, Samantha, however, had a different opinion. 7 years younger, Samantha lives for the party scene. Loud music, lots of guests, plenty of booze. At the party, she joked that Lauren's gathering was too quiet and needed way more people and way more alcohol. Lauren laughed it off. That was Samantha's personality, always craving attention. In the months after the party, Samantha began popping by more and more. At first, it was innocent. Just weekend visits. But soon, she was showing up on weeknights, letting herself in under the excuse of just being nearby. She'd help herself to Lauren's fridge, crash in the guest room without asking, and leave wet towels on the bathroom floor like a teenager at summer camp. When Lauren tried to set boundaries, Samantha snapped, accusing her of being controlling or too uptight. Rather than pick a fight, Lauren chose the path of least resistance. She cleaned up after her sister and tried to keep the peace. Then came the opportunity of a lifetime. Lauren's boss called her into his office and offered her the lead on a massive European expansion project. Several high-profile clinics in Europe, places in Paris, Berlin, Amsterdam, were interested in multi-million-dollar deals for cutting-edge medical equipment. "You're the best we've got, Lauren," her boss said. "We need our top account manager there in person." It was a 3-month assignment. High pressure, yes, but career-defining. Lauren poured her energy into prepping for the trip. Presentations, research, international paperwork, and client briefings. But there was one nagging concern. Her house. Leaving it vacant for 3 months wasn't ideal, so she decided to install a high-end security system. Outdoor cameras covered the driveway, the porch, and the backyard. Inside, she placed discrete cameras in the living room and kitchen, just enough to give her peace of mind while she was 5,000 miles away. A few days before departure, Lauren dropped by her parents' house to ask a favor. "Mom," she said, "could you swing by once a week? Water the plants, make sure nothing's leaking, maybe dust a little." Her mom thought about it and said, "Wouldn't it be easier if Samantha just stayed at your house while you're gone?" Lauren's stomach turned. "I really don't want Samantha staying there," she said gently. "She's not the most tidy person. I've spent a year making this house a home." Her mom waved it off. "You're just picky. Samantha's fine," Lauren insisted, and her mom reluctantly agreed. Or so she thought. Days into her whirlwind European tour, after back-to-back client meetings, Lauren found herself scrolling social media from a hotel in Munich. That's when she saw Samantha's post. "Promotion party coming soon. You all know where it's going down. accompanied by winking emojis and champagne bottles. Confused, Lauren scrolled through the comments. One of Samantha's friends asked, "Wait, at that house?" Another commented, "She's gonna flip if she finds out you're doing this at her place." Then came the kicker. A photo Samantha posted of Lauren's personal bar. A beautiful built-in stocked with expensive bourbon, vintage wine, and rare vodka. Lauren felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. She called Samantha. "Are you throwing a party at my house?" Samantha laughed. "Oh, come on, don't be dramatic. It's my moment. I deserve this." Lauren's voice was calm. "Cancel it." Samantha's response, "Not letting you spoil my triumph." She hung up. So Lauren did what any composed, boundary-setting professional would do. She called the police. And what happened next? Oh, you're going to want to hear it. I thought I had covered every base. Cameras outside and inside, clear instructions, a firm boundary. I should have known better. Just a few days before leaving for Europe, I stopped by my parents' house wanting to go over the plan one last time. We were sitting at their worn oak kitchen table, the same one I grew up eating spaghetti and meatloaf around. "Mom," I began, placing a spare key gently between us. "I'll be gone for 3 months. Could you swing by once or twice a week? Just water the plants, dust the living room, maybe bring in the mail." She picked up the key, turned it in her hand thoughtfully, then looked at me like she was about to solve a big problem. "You know," she said, "it might be easier if Samantha just stayed there while you're gone. She could house sit full-time instead of me driving over all the time." My stomach instantly dropped. Letting Samantha stay unsupervised in my house for 3 months felt like handing the keys to a bull and pointing it toward a china shop. "Mom, I really don't think that's a good idea," I said as gently as possible. "You remember what her room looked like when she was a teenager? Clothes everywhere, old food under the bed, dishes crusted over in her closet. She's not exactly tidy." Mom's tone immediately sharpened. "You're exaggerating. Samantha's not a slob. You're just particular." I knew that tone too well. Firm, defensive, and just a few degrees away from dismissive. But I kept my voice calm. "Please, I just want things done a certain way. I don't want Samantha living there while I'm gone. Can you just stop by once or twice a week like we planned?" Mom sighed, half annoyed, but finally nodded. "Fine, I'll take care of it." I thanked her, packed up my things, and got ready to leave. But as I passed by the hallway on the way to the bathroom, I overheard her muttering to my dad in the kitchen. "That girl is too demanding," she said, "and so selfish when it comes to Samantha. Her sister just wants to help, and Lauren acts like she's some kind of criminal." That one stung. I wasn't being selfish. I was being protective. But to them, setting boundaries made me the bad guy. I quietly let myself out without saying goodbye. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. I was hopping between time zones like a pinball, London, Paris, Berlin, Amsterdam. Each day brought new high-stakes meetings with European clinic directors, some in pristine hospital boardrooms, others in historic buildings older than the Declaration of Independence. I gave presentations on cutting-edge ventilators, robotic surgical arms, and advanced imaging systems. These weren't just sales. They were multi-million-dollar opportunities that could shape the company's entire future. My days started at 7 a.m. with breakfast briefings and ended around 10 p.m., prepping for the next morning in a quiet hotel room. There were nights I could barely peel off my blazer before collapsing into bed. It was exhausting, yes, but exhilarating too. I felt like I was finally standing in the spotlight after years of working backstage. Every few days I'd call home just to check in. "Everything's fine," Mom would chirp. "Stopped by your house yesterday, watered the plants, dusted the shelves, looks great." Those updates gave me comfort. I was thousands of miles away, but at least I believed everything was in good hands. Until it wasn't. One night, after an especially grueling day in Munich, I collapsed into bed and instinctively opened my phone. Scrolling through social media had become my guilty comfort, little glimpses of home in a sea of deadlines. That's when I saw it. A post from Samantha. Big news! I got promoted! Celebration party next week! You know where it's going down? My heart skipped. Wait, where was she throwing this party? Her one-bedroom apartment barely had room for a coffee table, let alone a party. I clicked into the comments. OMG, Samantha, are you really doing this at that place? Girl, you're so bold. What if she finds out? This is going to be legendary. Hope someone records the look on her face. Panic started to rise like floodwater. My eyes scanned faster and faster, heart thudding in my chest. Then I saw it. A photo Samantha had posted. My bar, my living room. She had taken a picture of the custom bar I had built into the wall, filled with hand-picked bottles I'd collected over the years. Bourbon from Kentucky, wine I'd been gifted after closing a major deal, vodka from a partner in Poland. She was showing off my house like it was hers. I couldn't breathe. It felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I called her immediately. No answer. I called again and again. Finally, she picked up. Hey, Lauren, what's up? You're throwing a party at my house, Samantha? Silence. Then came the giggle. Oh, come on, don't freak out. It's just a little get-together. I'm keeping the place tidy. You invited 90 people. They're my coworkers and friends, and honestly, it's way cheaper than renting out a venue. Relax. I was quiet, then firm. You need to cancel this party, right now. That's when she said it. The sentence that would flip this entire story on its head. You're not ruining this for me, Lauren. This is my moment. I'm not letting you spoil my triumph. And with that, she hung up. At first, I didn't want to believe what I was seeing. I scrolled through Samantha's post again, hoping I had somehow misunderstood, but every comment made it clearer. She was planning a massive celebration at my house, the one I worked so hard to build, decorate, and protect. Then came the ultimate gut punch. Someone asked if there'd be a full bar at this mystery location, and Samantha replied with a photo. There it was, my bar. The custom-built walnut shelves, the glassware I picked out at a boutique in Charleston, the bourbon bottle my boss gave me after we landed a $2 million contract. Right there for the world to see. She was parading my things around as if they were hers. My hands trembled as I scrolled, each new comment another slap in the face. She was bragging, gloating. If she knew what I was planning to do at her house, Samantha had replied, she would absolutely lose her mind. Well, she was right about one thing. My pulse was pounding as I picked up my phone and called her. I tried to stay calm. The phone rang 3 times before she picked up, her voice annoyingly chipper. Hey, Lauren, what's up? I forced a breath. Hey, Samantha, congrats on your promotion. I saw your post. Oh my gosh, thank you. It's been a long time coming, she said, like this was just some casual family chat. Are you planning a party to celebrate? I asked, trying not to sound accusatory. Yeah, she replied. Just something small, nothing crazy. Probably a restaurant or lounge downtown. And that was the moment I knew she was lying straight to my face. Samantha, I said, keeping my voice steady, I know you're planning to throw the party at my house. Silence. Then a sigh. Look, I don't know what you're talking about. I clenched my jaw. Don't do this. You posted a picture of my bar, Samantha. I've seen the comments. You're showing off my home and my alcohol collection as if it's yours. There was a pause before her tone shifted into something more defensive. Okay, fine. Yes, I'm throwing the party at your house. So what? It's just sitting there empty, and I'm taking care of it for you. Taking care of it? I almost laughed. Samantha, how many people are you inviting? She answered like it was nothing. I don't know, about 90? 90. 90 people in my living room, on my furniture, drinking my wine, tracking God knows what across my hardwood floors. Are you insane? I snapped. You're inviting 90 people into someone else's home without permission? They're not strangers, she said breezily. They're my friends and coworkers. And do you know how expensive it would be to rent out a venue that fits 90 people? This promotion is a big deal. I deserve to celebrate. You absolutely do not have my permission, I said flatly. You are not throwing that party in my house. She laughed. Actually laughed. Wow, Lauren, you're really going to try to ruin this for me? This is my moment. I'm not going to let your paranoia about your precious furniture take that away. And then she hung up on me. I stared at the screen in disbelief. I tried calling her back. Once, twice, 3 more times, straight to voicemail. That's when I called the only other person I thought might have the sense to help. Mom. She answered in her usual cheerful tone. Hi, Lauren, how's the trip going? We need to talk, I said, skipping the pleasantries. I just found out Samantha's planning a party at my house. Why is she even staying there? The silence on the other end spoke volumes. Then finally, well, I thought it would be easier this way, Mom admitted. Instead of driving over there twice a week, Samantha offered to just stay and take care of things. It made sense. No, I said firmly. It doesn't make sense. I specifically told you I didn't want her staying there. I trusted you to handle it. You're overreacting, she replied, that dismissive tone back in full force. Samantha likes your house, and she's doing a great job keeping an eye on it. Honestly, you're the only one upset about this. That's because it's my house, I said, trying to stay calm. And now she's planning to invite 90 people over for some over-the-top celebration. You need to tell her to cancel it, immediately. Her voice hardened. Lauren, stop. Samantha just got promoted. It's a huge milestone for her. Can't you be happy for your sister for once? I am happy for her, I replied, trying not to shout. But that doesn't mean she gets to violate my boundaries. She doesn't own the place, Mom. She doesn't get to treat my house like a nightclub just because it's convenient. Mom sighed, the way she always did when she thought I was being unreasonable. It's one night. She'll clean up afterward. This is just who Samantha is. You know that. And just like that, the conversation was over. She hung up on me. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling of my hotel room in Munich. Jet-lagged, exhausted, furious. I couldn't believe my own mother had chosen convenience and excuses over respect and boundaries. I had asked for one thing, one simple thing: water my plants and check the mail. Instead, they handed over my house like it was a community center. But if they thought I'd sit quietly and let it happen, they were about to find out exactly who they were dealing with. Because the next move was mine. When my mom hung up on me too, it was like the final slap in the face. There I was, nearly 5,000 miles from home, sitting alone in a hotel room in Amsterdam after working a 14-hour day, closing deals that would keep our company afloat for years to come. And yet, the very people who were supposed to have my back, my own mother and sister, had completely disregarded my trust, my property, and my clearly stated boundaries. I tried to reach Mom again. Nothing. Straight to voicemail. Texted her. No response, so I texted both her and Samantha. You do not have permission to host any kind of party at my house. Samantha, I want you out immediately. This is trespassing. Samantha's response: a single laughing emoji. That was it. No words, just a smug little emoji like I was some joke she'd outsmarted. My blood boiled, but instead of firing back more texts, I paused. I sat there for a long moment, fuming. But then something in me shifted. If they wanted to ignore me, fine. If they thought I was going to stay quiet while they walked all over me, they were dead wrong. So I came up with a plan, a very simple one. Let them walk into their own disaster. For the next several days, I buried myself in work, meeting with directors of prestigious private clinics in Brussels, navigating complex negotiations, signing contracts worth millions of dollars. But no matter how focused I tried to stay, a part of me was always back home, wondering what Samantha was doing, wondering how trashed my house might already be. I checked the security feed every couple of nights, and sure enough, there she was, living like she owned the place, bringing friends over, helping herself to the wine in my cabinet, tossing her purse on my custom leather sofa like it was nothing. The nerve. By Saturday, the day of the party, I was back in my Amsterdam hotel. I had an important client breakfast the next morning, one that could unlock our largest deal yet. But honestly, I couldn't focus on anything except the chaos that was about to unfold. At exactly 1 p.m. Eastern back home, I opened my laptop and pulled up the live security feed. It was worse than I'd imagined. Samantha was running around in a cocktail dress, lighting scented candles and shoving furniture aside to make space for the crowd. There were fairy lights taped across the dining room ceiling, balloons, banners, and a ridiculous number of champagne bottles lined my kitchen counter. Within 20 minutes, people began pouring in, first in pairs, then in groups. I watched, stunned, as the guest count doubled, then tripled. By my rough count, there were over 60 people crammed into my living room, and more still coming through the front door. They weren't tiptoeing in either. They were loud, rowdy, already drinking before they'd even stepped inside. Some plopped down onto my ivory accent chairs with wet cups in hand. Others kicked off their shoes and wandered into rooms they had no business being in, including upstairs bedrooms. It was like my home had been turned into a frat house. And then came the moment I truly lost it. I watched them raid my bar. All those bottles, gifts, memories, carefully chosen, and now they were being passed around like dollar store vodka. I saw someone using my Crystal Rocks glasses as beer mugs. A guy poured himself 3 fingers of bourbon and then chased it with soda directly from the bottle. One girl clinked her glass against another and spilled red wine onto my hardwood floors. And Samantha, she was loving it, playing hostess like she lived there, giving house tours, introducing her co-workers to each other with a drink in one hand and her phone in the other. She even posed in front of my fireplace mantel, my grandfather's vintage clock visible in the background, for a group selfie. That's when I'd had enough. I picked up my phone and dialed, not 911 because it wasn't quite an emergency, but the non-emergency dispatch line for my hometown police department back in the States. A calm voice answered. "City Police Department, how can I help you?" "Hi, I need to report a break-in. I'm out of the country on business, but I'm watching a live feed of a party happening at my house. Dozens of people who do not have permission to be there." "Can you provide the address, ma'am?" I gave them my street address, spelled out the city and zip code, then added, "My sister is staying there without permission, and she's hosting what looks like a 90-person party. I have video evidence from multiple cameras, indoor and outdoor." The dispatcher took notes and asked a few clarifying questions. I explained that I wasn't pressing charges yet. I just wanted the guests removed and my property protected. "We'll send officers right away," she said. I closed my laptop and waited, but not without reopening the camera feed, because if they thought this party was going to go unnoticed, they were about to get a very rude awakening. "Thank you," I told the dispatcher before hanging up. Then I sat back in my hotel room chair, fingers clasped around a cup of lukewarm coffee, eyes locked on my laptop screen as the live feed refreshed. The adrenaline was pumping now. I had spent days feeling powerless, but that was over. I wasn't just watching anymore. I was acting. 10 minutes later, the moment arrived. 3 police cruisers pulled up to my driveway, their red and blue lights flashing like a 4th of July finale. Several uniformed officers stepped out, scanning the scene as the thump of party music echoed through the neighborhood, even through my security camera's microphone. My beautifully manicured lawn, my carefully chosen stone pathway, now littered with solo cups and high heels. They approached the front door and rang the bell. No answer. The bass from the speakers inside was so loud I could see the glass in the windows shaking slightly. One officer stepped back and pounded his fist on the door. That got someone's attention. Samantha appeared a few seconds later, and the look on her face? Priceless. Her eyes went wide the moment she saw the uniforms. She flung the door open and immediately launched into a flurry of hand gestures, trying to talk over the music. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I could see her pointing frantically inside, then at herself, like she was trying to prove she belonged there. One officer calmly continued questioning her, while another reached for a clipboard. From her panicked expressions, I could tell they were asking for proof, something official, something that confirmed she had the right to host 90 people inside my house. And that's when my phone rang. It was Samantha. I answered, and chaos bled through the receiver. Shouting, laughter, pulsing music, and Samantha yelling over all of it. "Lauren, the police are at your house. I've got you on speaker. Just tell them it's okay. Tell them I'm allowed to be here." She had put me on speakerphone, not just for the officers, but likely for half the guests within earshot. Perfect. I took a breath and spoke clearly, with every bit of calm professionalism I could muster. "Hello, officers. This is Lauren Mitchell. I'm the legal homeowner of the property you're standing in. I'm currently overseas on business. I did not authorize my sister or anyone else to be in my home. They are trespassing, and I want everyone removed immediately." There was a long pause. Then I heard Samantha gasp. "Are you kidding me?" she shrieked. "Lauren, this is my promotion party. These are my friends. You're ruining everything." "I told you not to have this party," I said, still calm but firm. "You ignored me. Now you're dealing with the consequences." One of the officers took the phone from her. "Ma'am, this is Officer Daniel Carter with the City Police Department. Just to confirm, do you want every person on the premises to vacate immediately?" "Yes, officer," I said without hesitation. "None of them have permission to be there." "Understood," he replied and handed the phone back to Samantha. What followed next was less of a conversation and more of a meltdown. "You bastard," Samantha screamed. "You seriously called the cops on your own sister? This was supposed to be my night." Then, click. She hung up. I turned my focus back to the camera feed just in time to witness the unfolding drama. The officers entered the house, flashlights and radios in hand. One by one, I saw the guests start to scatter, many looking dazed and confused, others quickly downing their drinks or shoving bottles into handbags. Coats were thrown on, shoes stumbled into, and people began to file out the front door like ants fleeing a disturbed hill. But not Samantha. No, she wasn't going down quietly. One officer stood near her with a hand raised, clearly instructing her to step outside. But she was waving her arms, arguing, motioning back into the house like she thought she could reason her way through the law. Then it happened. She tried to push past the officer toward the living room. Bad move. The officer stepped in front of her and took hold of her arm. Samantha yanked back violently and started shouting. Within seconds, 2 more officers closed in, and in a blur of movement she was turned around, her wrists cuffed, still yelling and flailing. I sat frozen, watching as they escorted her, my little sister, the one who had mocked me with a laughing emoji, straight to the back seat of a patrol car. The house finally was empty. I grabbed my phone and called the one person I could trust in that neighborhood, Mrs. Evelyn Brooks, my next-door neighbor for the last 8 years. "Hi, Mrs. Evelyn Brooks. I'm so sorry to bother you," I said quickly, "but I need a huge favor. The police just cleared some people out of my house. Long story, but would you mind going over and locking everything up until I get home?" "Oh, honey, I saw the police cars," she said in that warm, motherly tone. "I figured something wasn't right. I'll head over right now." "Thank you, truly. Just make sure the doors are locked and keep the key with you. I'll send someone to clean, and I'll make it right when I get back." "No trouble at all, dear. You just focus on your work. I've got things covered here." As I ended the call, I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. My house was safe. My boundaries were restored. And as for Samantha, she was finally learning that when you cross the line, there's a price to pay. Mrs. Evelyn Brooks kept her promise. She locked every door, secured every window, and held onto my spare key like it was a vault code. I finally felt like my house, my sanctuary, was safe again. But peace was short-lived. An hour later, my phone rang. I didn't need to see the screen to know who it was. "Lauren, how could you?" Mom's voice exploded through the line. "Samantha is at the police station because of you." "No," I replied, calm but firm. "She's there because she trespassed, threw an illegal party, and resisted the police. That's why she's in jail." "She didn't break in," Mom shot back. "You gave her a key." "I gave you a key," I corrected her, "for watering plants. Not for Samantha to move in, not for her to throw a rager, and certainly not to trash my home. You need to fix this. Call the police and tell them to let her go." "No, Mom. She made her choices, and now she's dealing with the consequences. I warned her. She didn't care." "You're being cruel. Vindictive." I ended the call, and then I did something I should have done weeks ago. I turned off my phone. The next morning, when I finally powered it back on, the floodgates opened. Voicemails, texts, missed calls, dozens of them, from Mom, Dad, and Samantha. Apparently, my parents had to post Samantha's $5,000 bail for resisting arrest. The police followed up, asking if I wanted to press formal charges. I declined. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted distance. I called Mrs. Evelyn Brooks and asked her to hire a professional cleaning crew. I told her to spare no expense and that I'd reimburse her for everything, plus a generous bonus for her trouble. She didn't hesitate. The rest of my trip, I blocked my family on every device and poured myself into work. I negotiated 3 new contracts, opened a distribution pipeline in Belgium, and closed our company's biggest deal in nearly a decade. Professionally, it was a high point. Personally, I was still grieving. 3 months later, I walked through the front door of my house, exhausted, proud, but emotionally guarded. I gave Mrs. Evelyn Brooks a beautiful cashmere shawl from Paris and a $500 thank you card for managing the cleanup while I was gone. The house looked spotless, like nothing had ever happened. But I hadn't even fully unpacked before trouble came knocking. Literally. A week after my return, there was a loud knock at my front door. I opened it to find my parents and Samantha standing there, arms crossed, faces hard. "We need to talk," Mom said as they pushed past me into the foyer like they still had a right to be there. "You owe me $5,000, she announced flatly. "That's what it cost to bail Samantha out." I laughed, actually laughed out loud. "You've got to be kidding," Samantha piped up. "You caused all of this. I just wanted to celebrate my promotion. That's it." "At my house, without permission," I replied. I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I simply walked over to my laptop, opened a file labeled security footage, and hit play. The video spoke for itself. Samantha living in my house like it was her personal resort, throwing parties, leaving messes, opening bottles I had saved for years, letting strangers roam through my home. They watched in stunned silence. I closed the laptop. "You all betrayed me," I said quietly. "You lied. You disrespected everything I asked, and you dismissed me like I was the villain for wanting basic boundaries." Dad finally spoke up. "Lauren, maybe we can work this out." "No," I interrupted. "I need a break from this family. I need time to decide if I even want a relationship with people who think this kind of behavior is acceptable." There was nothing left to say. I asked them to leave. They did, though not without Mom pausing at the door to give one last parting shot. "I'm disappointed in you." Funny, I'd spent years being disappointed in them. That was 6 months ago. I haven't spoken to any of them since. I've changed the locks, upgraded my security system, and finally found something I never thought I'd have while still tied to them: peace. No more drama, no more guilt, no more sacrificing my boundaries for the comfort of others. Just quiet. And honestly, it's the most powerful silence I've ever known. Life lesson. Reflection. Lauren's story is a powerful reminder that boundaries are not selfish. They are necessary for self-respect. In the pursuit of professional success and personal peace, Lauren worked hard, saved diligently, and created a home that symbolized independence. But even the people closest to us, family, can sometimes take advantage of our generosity when we don't stand firm. Her sister's entitled behavior, coupled with her mother's dismissiveness, highlights a common but painful reality. Not everyone respects your sacrifices or your space. For many in midlife, especially those who have built stability from the ground up, this story strikes a deep chord. It teaches us that protecting what you've earned is not cruelty, it's wisdom. Sometimes love must come with limits. Sometimes peace comes after letting go. Lauren's decision to call the police, stand her ground, and eventually cut ties wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming control. Her story encourages us to listen to our instincts, honor our limits, and never feel guilty for choosing self-preservation over dysfunction. In the end, Lauren found something more valuable than approval: peace. And for anyone navigating complicated family dynamics, that's a lesson worth remembering.